So there was recently a requirement to take two spreadsheets that are formatted slightly differently and deduplicate them. So this can be simply done with a couple of functions in Excel, deduplication and text to columns. So we have two spreadsheets here. We have one that says Brown, Greg, and one that says Greg Brown, right? So this one's space separated and the first name's before the last name. And then this one over here to the left is last name, first name separated by a comma. So what we want to do is first get the data fields in the same formats. So to do that simply, all we have to do is go here. We first want to start by adding a couple columns. Actually, I have to add 3 columns. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate Greg and Brown into 2 separate columns and then have a delimiter. And then, actually we need to add one more field here. And then we're going to basically run a function that creates the new name just as it's stated over here in this new column. So first we start by selecting the column, go to the Data tab, text to columns, go in here, and there's a couple of options here. You can do fixed width if it's perfectly fixed width, and that's not always the case. But in this case we want to do delimit it because we know that space is between these 2 names. Delimiter just means something that separates 2 values. So click on next. In this case it auto-selected space because it smartly understood that we want to separate the 2 names. So over here you can do semicolon, tabs, commas, whatever you want. And it's going to basically take this one column and separate it out to 2 columns. So hit next. You can format it to text, date, or anything you want. You can format them separately. In this case we're going to leave them both as general. And there we go. Voila! 2 columns. So this is just a start. Now we want to basically take and separate them out so they're comma separated. So we want to go in and do that next. So hold on one second. Alright, so our next step is to take and add in this comma and a space that's over here. So you notice there's a comma and a space. So what we want to do is we want to concatenate a couple fields together. So we want to start by doing a comma and a space. And then that field is now set. So you can see there's a space right there that we're going to use. It's the same as this column over there. So you just double click on the corner, brings it all the way to the bottom, all the cells are the same. And now we're going to run our concatenate function. So over here is where we're going to have our valid new formatted that's going to look just like this. So go back here and select this new field, go to function, and then you might have to look down the list, but if you go to text and then you go to concatenate, it's right there, concatenate, hit OK. And then now it's going to ask you for a couple of bits of information. So what we want to do is we want to do this in the right order that's the same as the spreadsheet here. So we're going to start with Brown because that's the last name. Select it. Go to text 2. Select column A. Oh, already messed up. We need to select column C because we want to separate it by a comma and a space first. So we select column C. And then we lastly select column A. And then hit OK. And voila, Brown, Greg, Brown, Greg. And then we do our simple drop function. Makes everything look exactly the same. Looks great to me. Now for the last portion of this tutorial, we're now going to take the information in this spreadsheet and deduplicate them. So we don't really need these first 3 columns anymore, so we're just going to go ahead and hide them. So you can see now that they're both exactly the same. I mean, that they're not actually the exact same because they're in a different order. Because technically the whole goal of this is to deduplicate them. So you can see that Cecil Jacks is different than Tebow John. So we're going to basically take the information from this spreadsheet and copy it over to here. But do it in a certain way so we don't screw it up. So we're going to select all the information in this spreadsheet, select it all, and we're going to do a copy. And then we're going to go to the next spreadsheet, and we're going to go here and then do a paste values. If you do a regular paste, it's going to give you reference errors. So you have to do a paste values. So then it just takes the straight information that's on that spreadsheet and moves it here. So paste values, voila, it's on there. Now we have our entire bit of information here, and there's tons of duplicates, and it's just too much. We're going to get rid of the duplicates. So we're going to do remove duplicates, and this is a wonderful tool that basically says how many columns you want to do the duplicates with, and it actually allows you to do headers too. So if the top section here has a header, it automatically drops it down for you if you need to. And if you have columns that you don't want to dedupe, you can basically unselect them, so you can do whichever ones you want. So it does it based on the deduplication. So if that column has information that you need, but it's not in one spreadsheet but not the other, then you can uncheck the column. But in this case, we want to do both columns. So I'm just going to check off the second column as well as the first one, hit OK, and voila, 9 duplicate values found and removed 3 unique values, 9 values found and removed, 3 unique values remain. Hit OK, and you have your new spreadsheet. Congratulations.